Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and to this week's video. I hope you're doing super well and that you've had an absolutely lovely week. Today is Thursday, March 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day and the ball cap is out, the base layers are out, the creek is running because it is, although not officially spring has sprung because it's like 15 degrees here today. It's that, you know, first super nice day of the year and I'm just happy. So 2 videos ago when I did my first barn vlog, I talked about how Merlin has a pretty bad case of thrush right now. And tonight is the night where I'm doing a super long soak. So I thought that for this week's video, we would cover the super sexy topic of equine foot fungus, or hoof bacteria, whatever you want to call it, also known as thrush. I've been dealing with thrush with Merlin for an unreasonably long amount of time, for different reasons, and I'm sort of going to go into that story in this video and also my treatment plan and sort of how I'm dealing with it. So back in September we noticed that Merlin was developing a pretty severe case of thrush in his right front foot. I had been treating it for a while because I had noticed that it was developing, but the treatment I was using, which was copper tox or copper care, like the green stuff, it's really common here in North America, just wasn't working. I came to find out that those treatments don't work super well because while they do a good job of killing the bad bacteria, they also kill the good bacteria that is needed to rebuild the tissue in the frog. So as per my farrier's directions, we switched things up a bit and I started doing hoof soaks twice a week, as well as treating it with a mixture of either raw honey, like Manuka honey, or 50/50 athlete's foot cream, clotrimazole I think is the cream name, and triple antibiotic ointment. Together, those seemed to work really well. I'm going to post some pictures here of what his foot looked like in September versus like November when it was getting better. Then unfortunately in November we had our first snowfall and the first freeze, so that was good because it meant that the mud would go away. Mud tends to make things like thrush a lot worse because the bacteria just thrives in that sort of very moist condition. And then everything melted and it got muddy again, and that combined with me not being able to come out and treat it as much as I was before meant that it got bad again, and then I went home for Christmas. When I came back in January, I wasn't quite back to square one, but it had gotten pretty bad again. So we started treating it a little more aggressively, and now we're getting to a point where I'm comfortable with where it's at. It's getting a lot better. So I thought that tonight, as I'm going through his more sort of intensive thrush treatment, that I would bring you along and show you how we're treating it and talk a bit about how Merlin's case of thrush over the last, God, it's coming up on 7-8 months now, sort of forced me to confront what I thought I knew about thrush and how to treat it, and that there were actually some much better ways of dealing with it than the way that I was originally going about it and the way that I was taught. I'm going to bring Merlin in so that he has some inside time out of the wet footing so that his feet can dry out. I bring him into the barn, clean out his feet so that any poop, any sort of dirt that's in his feet is removed, and then he'll have an hour or 2 for his feet to dry while I'm riding. Once that's done and I get the horse that I'm riding out, then I can turn to him and treat his feet where they are clean and dry rather than coming in fresh from the mud. So that's what we're going to do first. This is my mudlark of a pony. Oh my goodness. You are filthy. So he's going to stay in for an hour or 2, let his feet all dry out, and then we will get to the bones of the business, the treatment. What are you looking at? Hi.
I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you.
Okay, so it's now a couple of hours later. Merlin's feet have been drying. Now I have to get his foot ointment potion ready. It just so happened that tonight's like the perfect night to film this video because I have to do his clean tracks, which is like the deep penetrating hoof cleanser that I do once every 4 weeks, and I also have to create a new foot potion. The way that I do that is I've got triple antibiotic ointment, so it's like triple polysporin, and clotrimazole topical cream. So this is like a athlete's foot cream, basically. And they're both 30 grams, so I mix like a 50-50 ratio. Squeeze out as much as I can into a plastic bag. And I'm gonna squeeze it into the corner. Obviously, some is gonna go to waste because I'm not gonna be able to get all of it from the bag. This is the way that I found to be the best way to mix, especially where one is a cream and one is an ointment. They don't mix super well. Currently, after I bring him in and I do his feet, he stays in for as long as I can let him. During the week, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. On the weekend, it's longer. Once he's been in for a little while, I'll bring him in the cross ties. Then I'll give his feet another good pick. Normally, it's just to get shavings and stuff out. And then I do one of three things. So once every 4 weeks, he gets a treatment using Clean Tracks Deep Penetrating Hoof Cleanser, which is like a powder, and I'm going to get into it in a bit. It was driving me absolutely nuts, so we're doing it the easy way and cutting out the end. I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place, but here we are. Yeah, so he'll have Clean Tracks once every 4 weeks. I could technically do it once every 2 weeks, but I've just been doing it once every 4. Twice a week, he gets a 20-minute soak using 50-50 apple cider vinegar and water. You can also use Epsom salts, and that just helps to kill the bacteria in between periods where the Clean Tracks soak is happening. And then on days where I'm not doing any type of soak, I take a 50-50 apple cider vinegar water mixture, and I just put some in this syringe and just flush the thrush cracks just so that they're clean before I put the ointment in. So on days where I'm not doing any type of foot soak, I will rinse the thrush cracks with that mixture of 50-50 apple cider vinegar and water. And the key thing that I had never done before, but that I like makes complete sense, is to push tearable cotton into the cracks for 2 reasons. One is to keep the topical ointment in for as long as possible and to give it time to really soak into the cracks and absorb into the tissue. And 2 is to try to keep dirt out for as long as you can. I have found that that has been a real kicker in this whole journey that I've been on with Merlin in recent months, has been the cotton. There are so many different brush treatments out there, and people will tell you different things. This treatment here comes recommended by Pete Ramey, who is, some people might call him like the god of barefoot trimming. I've become pretty obsessed with the hoof and learning more about hoof health and really advocating for the fact that most horses can go barefoot if they're given the time to really have good feet. So I'm really lucky that Merlin, because I got him so young, I don't have to deal with rehabbing any foot issues.
Hello, Editing Caitlin here, just to say that I know that technically thrush is a hoof issue that I am rehabbing, but what I mean by not having to rehab any hoof issues are things like bad angles from years of quote-unquote corrective shoeing, or really narrow frogs because of the constrictiveness of traditional metal shoes. Things that wouldn't happen as easily if the foot were just left to do its thing and go barefoot with the help of a qualified and well-educated barefoot trimmer.
Which is a blessing. So I just keep it in a syringe like this. It stays in the bag that I bring to the barn, in a little plastic bag. Once the temperatures get warmer and it won't freeze, then I'll just leave it out here. I have what I call my little caddy of Merlin's potions. So I was saying that this comes really heavily recommended by Pete Ramey, and there's a really good article on his website about it that shows like before and after pictures and things like that. So if you are interested, I'll put a link down in the description. This is being a pain in the butt. Whoa, okay. This is not cooperating. Yeah, it's a really good and informative article. If you are interested, if you're interested in checking it out, I will definitely link it down in the description. That's part of what this channel is about, is sharing resources and sharing knowledge. No girl bossing or no gatekeeping, gaslighting, or well, there is some girl bossing happening here, but no gatekeeping or gaslighting. So the story right now is Merlin's thrush is, I want to say, on the mend, but my main goal for the next month or so is to maintain the level that it's at now. I want to do my best not to let it get worse during mud season. Thrush and the bacteria that causes thrush really thrives in muddy conditions with sort of spring and fall like temperatures, which is why you'll see it mostly in the spring and fall. So it's really hard, I find, and that's what I found in October when mud season was happening, that it's hard to really make it get better during mud season, but it is possible to maintain the level that it's at, the level of healing that it's at, as long as you are doing the proper preventative treatments. So recently, while the snow was happening, he was getting his foot soaked once a week using the apple cider vinegar mixture. I did a clean tracks admittedly, it's been probably about 5 weeks, so I'm a little behind, but it's okay. I think waiting until the mud came was a good thing to do. Starting last week, I started to do the 2 times a week soaking. I'm out 3 to 4 times a week right now. I'm going to try to treat it every time I'm out. But I've also found that it's really important to make sure that there's at least a couple of days where you're not treating it so that it has time to grow and heal. I often find after I treat it on a Sunday, if I come out, say on Wednesday, I do notice a difference versus if I'm coming out and treating it every day, I don't really notice a difference. So I like to have a nice balance between treating it and giving it time to heal. So the bad foot is the right front, but I am noticing that the clefts of his frog on 2 of his other feet are getting a bit deep. So I'm treating them sort of, not preventatively because they do have mild thrush, but I'm treating them now in the hopes that they won't get as bad as this one. So, clean tracks. What is it and what does it do? I had never heard of clean tracks before it was recommended to me by my farrier. So it's basically a hoof soak that is really good for soaking to prevent infection or bacteria, anything like that. So it's great for thrush. You mix it into about 1 gallon of water. Once it's mixed, it's good for 90 minutes and the soak per foot is 45 minutes. Technically, once I'm done soaking his bad foot, I could use it to soak other feet. I'm going to mix it into 1 gallon of water in this hoof soaking boot. It's the only way that I've found that I can get him to stand for any reasonable amount of time with his foot in the water. This goes up to like sort of not quite his armpit. There we go. So it comes, ooh, I don't know if you can see that, the powder comes out. It's really important not to breathe it in because I did that last time and oh my God, it was not great. So I'm gonna dump the whole bottle. I don't know if you can see, the powder's like coming up. Oh, Jesus. Literally smells like a swimming pool. And we're just gonna give it a good mix. So technically you're supposed to soak for 45 minutes and then cover the foot in like a plastic bag for 45 minutes to allow the vapors to like get into the foot. I don't have time for that and Merlin doesn't have the patience, so I just do the soak and then treat and put him back out. This is the most boring part of every month. I don't know if you can tell, but thrush has been the bane of my existence for the last 7 months. I'm really not looking forward to this, but it has to be done. So I'm just gonna show what the foot looks like before the treatment and then after the treatment, so you can see the big difference that it makes within a very quick 45-minute soak. You can see that super deep crack in his frog. That's not supposed to be there. It has gotten a lot better in the last month and a half, and it's sort of healing from the front of the frog backwards. So as time goes on, it's getting less and less deep and it's more down and up rather than like completely into the center of the frog. It was quite bad before. I'm going to try to put some pictures in. I mean, for a not even 3-year-old, he's pretty good, aren't you? Yeah, you're such a good boy. I tend to stand with him the whole 45 minutes because it has happened where he has lifted his foot out of the boot. I haven't been near it and a mess everywhere. Merlin, away. Away. Lately he's been just very fidgety when I've done his 20-minute soak, so I don't know why he's being so good for the 45-minute soak, but literally the first 20 minutes he didn't even move. Got about 10 minutes left and I'm just counting down the seconds. This is what the hoof looks like post soak. It's a lot cleaner and a lot of the sort of dead tissue has been taken away, so it's a lot cleaner.
So I'm just going to do a quick voiceover here to show the improvement that has been made since January. So this first picture that I'm showing here is January 29th, and as you can see, the crack goes quite deep into his heel and is quite wide, and it is quite deep towards the front of the frog as well. But if I show this picture from March 5th, you can see how his heels have really started to heal up. The crack is starting to close, and his foot just overall looks a lot healthier.
So I'm really hoping that this records Merlin, that this records properly. I'm gonna do this as quick as I can. So I put the treatment into the areas that I want it to go. He's being very impatient tonight, so I'm gonna have to do this. Merlin, have to do this as quick as I can. Do my best to get it into the cracks. So then I'm gonna stick the cotton where I want it to go. And then we're just gonna stick it in, and there, we're done. So we are switching to the GoPro because my phone is nearly dead and I need to make sure I have some battery when I go home. So I thought that I would show the next foot. I just looked back at the footage of me doing the foot that I just soaked, and you can sort of see it, but not really. I tried putting it on my head cam and it was a bit of a fail. So I'm gonna do my best to show you here. So this is what the other foot looks like. Now you can see the lighting is really bad. There's no like crack in the frog, but the clefts are quite deep. So what I do is I put the treatment and the cotton along the side of his frog, and I just stick it in there, and it will hopefully heal up pretty well. So I flush the foot with the 50/50 apple cider vinegar and water, and all I'm gonna do is take the treatment, put it where I want it to go, take the stick and sort of get it in. Then I take like strips of cotton and just put it in with my finger, take the opposite end of the popsicle stick and stick it in. So that is how we treat thrush. I'm gonna stop this video here for now and recap with you tomorrow once I have this very, very patient, but getting impatient boy outside and dealt with.
In true Caitlin fashion, I completely forgot to end this video, so just want to say thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me out and I really do appreciate it. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Kaitehh Equestrian, and I will see you next week. Bye!